I've always felt different. I've always seen things, but when I tried to express them as a child, I was always told to ignore it.
There were people that I didn't know that came to me and said, I have this message that I keep getting that I have to deliver to you.
All of a sudden, out of the shadows, a homeless man just jumped right in front of me. And he said, I'm a soul just like you.
I love it. I wanted to understand the universe and who and what we are and what are we doing here.
Well, we're all part of this amazing soul wave tapping into each other.
This was a major life changer.
You are a light. You have helped me a ton. Thank you.
You've given me the courage to live more from my soul.
Millions of people are awakening. So wake up with Michele Meiche, the place to hear the best-selling authors and experts in the fields of cutting-edge self-help, personal growth, metaphysics, and spirituality. The soul path of awakening. Understand what living awake is.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. If you are new to this podcast, great to have you here. And those of you that have been walking these steps of awakening, transformation, and spiritual integration, always great to connect with you. If you want to listen in the chat, that's great. You can listen just as a guest, or if you sign in, you can ask questions or comment or chat in the chat. And if you want to call in and listen, you can do so at 347-539-5122 and press 1 on your keypad if you have a question, a comment, or you want a reading, or just to say, hey. I'm getting my tea right now. If you hear background noise, I'm getting my decaf jasmine green tea with coconut milk and honey. It's that kind of day. It's rainy here in SoCal. So a lot of rain by the beach. Jay Styling, hey. Again, number 347-539-5122. Press 1 on the keypad if you have a question, a comment, or you want a reading. So I've been posting to my Instagram a lot. Today I did a post on, if you're seeing the number 12 or 1212, might want to check that out. And also connect with me on Soul Insights and Tarot on YouTube, and also the Awakenings podcast on YouTube. We're bringing over archives of the show, replays, and then we're going to start doing lives over there as well. So I'm working on that now, seeing who's coming on, guest-wise, panel-wise. So also, if you have any questions, comments, topic suggestions, guest suggestions, you can email me at awakeningspodcast@gmail.com. Let me know. Totally open to that, and welcome that, because this is a community platform. It's like a soul tribe, our soul family. We connect here. But anyway, I'd love for you guys to subscribe, to my YouTube channels, and follow me on Instagram for more soul insights and mindful moments. So what I've been doing is tuning in with the guides and posting from what I get, and I am actually loving it. So love to see you over there. Number again, 347-539-5122. Press 1 on the keypad. So first half of our program, I'm going to talk just a little bit. I'm going to get to callers. And then the second half of the podcast, we have Stacy Gissal with us. Gissal, who's a human design master and spiritual teacher and mentor, and always interested in other lenses, ways of looking at what's going on in the world, with each other. It's a really important time right now, actually, to really be looking within and kind of stopping. I'm going to just touch on this, stopping patterns. Because, as the energy, I don't know if you guys feel it, but the energy is picking up. And those of you that are chronologically older, a lot of times people say, well, as you age, and I'm like, no, I'm hearing this from teens and people in their early 20s, early to mid-20s, of how things are moving much faster Things are, and we are in this quickening phase, and it definitely shows in the astrology, especially with that Uranus conjunct Taurus, Uranus and Taurus conjuncting the North Node, and Uranus in Taurus. So that's, if you think of Taurus as the Earth, it's also to some extent a body, because we're made of the same substance, right, as the Earth, as everything. There is this quickening. Uranus is the lightning bolt. It's the awakener. And so you're going to find consequences much more quickly happening. Now, you can change this. You can change the trajectory of what's going on in your life, but you have to change your behavior. You have to align, and not quite at the last minute. I mean, it's all a level of consciousness, so it's really, if you do make a change, then things can change more quickly. And I'm seeing that in certain circumstances right now, certain situations where people haven't been making the changes. They've been getting the chance. And it's just that right now the universe is not wanting the lower level vibrations. It's trying to shake that out. It's trying to get into, more of the unification process, more of the unifying aspect. So what isn't unifying, which is causing too much distress or disruption, is being brought to the surface. And part of that is definitely South Node in Scorpio, right? North Node's in Taurus. Those of you that are astrologers will just do a tiny bit of astrology speak here. And Pluto in Capricorn. So people forget, and I love this. I love bringing the occult aspect into what's going on, the metaphysical, but also the occult, is that people look at Capricorn. Yes, it has to do with structures and it has to do with organizations and companies, but it's all energy. So it still is going to affect people individually. It's going to affect the structure that you are. It's going to affect the structure of relationships, even though it's working more perhaps through organizations and companies and corporations and systems and government. It still is an energy force that is going to disrupt your personal structure, how you do things, right? So be very aware when a lot of times astrologers will say, oh, yeah, this is the outer planets, or this is affecting the government right now, or this is affecting the financial institutions, or this is affecting the stock market. Or Pluto in Aquarius is going to bring revolution. It's going to bring invention and innovation, and it's going to bring disruption to older technologies or previously used technologies. It's working on the group level or collective of humankind. But we have all those energies within us. We are our own group. And by our friends, our family, that's a group. That's a system. If your friends, your family, your spouse, who you're dating. So you have to look at yourself individually and collectively. You have to look at yourself as the quantum aspect and or the infinite and the finite aspect, right? The as above, as so below aspect. So we are our very own company or corporation. And in fact, in one of my certification programs for relationship counseling and coaching, they look at the relationship as a group, as a company. And it does. It has all that. There's the CEO, the CFO. They could be shared CFO, CEO, but that's still there. Human resources. All the titles, the labels are there. All the job focuses, right, and skill sets that you would have in a company or corporation. And in fact, when you look at group dynamics are also really family dynamics. If you have someone at the top in a group or a company, you're going to have the same dynamics that they have in their household or they grew up with, generational transmissions. You're going to have the same relating pattern. So that might help you to see, like when you see outer change happening or within a system, a group, or a government, bring it back to you and say, where's my accountability in this? What's changing for me in this, in my world, in my organization, in my group? What's changing for me in my relationships or how I relate? Not out of fear, but what this does is it harnesses the energy. Because the energy is just energy. It's going to go wherever it's meant to go, right? It's going to express and experience through each of us individually and collectively. So whatever is happening cosmologically, it's going to happen to some degree to all of us. Now, that doesn't mean that it has to happen in a detrimental way. It just means we have to be aware of that energy. So if you're seeing more truth and more transparency and you're saying, wow, that person, or that individual, got found out, or that company got found out, or because one of the things, and maybe even Stacy is going to talk about this, because I know in human design one of the parts that we're going through is the transparency, the idea of being more transparent. Now, that doesn't mean you have to disclose everything and say everything that you're going through, but it's transparency with yourself. It's moving beyond self-deception and living more openly, more aligned to the true you. So it's kind of like instead of having all these layers and levels like subterfuge, camouflage, it's starting to take that off. So, and I'm definitely seeing it. I mean, I even with some of my few clients, I've tried to say, hey, you got to look at this. This is what's coming down. This is what's happening. And they didn't want to see it. They were letting the lower level or the lower emotional body run the show. And see, that's what's trying to get cleansed or cleared right now. We have generational, ancestral, societal patterns. Patterns that were set since the beginning of time here are being unwound. And so if we're going to perpetuate those patterns, then things are going to get more extreme to get us to look at that pattern. Because basically the God is, the all that is, the collective, innate, infinite intelligence of the all that is, or of God, is saying we're going in a new direction, right? It's kind of like going on a hike and and we know where we're going and we know this trail and we love it, but then the hike leader up at the top says, we're going on a different trail, and turns. And you're like, whoa, what's happening? That's what's happening right now. So it's a very interesting time right now. I'm finding it's taking a lot of self-reflection and really looking at things in a real way. And it's not to say we have to be perfect at anything, but to say I can't do this, or I'm having trouble doing this and I need support and this is getting in the way. This aspect, this behavior is getting in the way. This is not a life-enhancing behavior. This is not a life-enhancing outlook, or not a life-affirming outlook or behavior or actions or mindset. So you could even look at it that, especially those of you that are in the United States, we're getting out of the adolescence. I remember when I was studying in England, and one of I think it was my Jungian program in spiritual healing, and the teacher was saying, that the United States is a very young country, and it's really pubescent to adolescent, and it's like a teenager that's that a rebel that's I don't want to do this, or I'm this, and some of that rebel energy is good. It can be very life enhancing when it's applied for positive change or transformation. But if it's going down a wrong path that's harming you or those around you, right now, got to be honest, gang, that shit is going to be rooted up, especially if you're consciously on a path. The thing is once you know, you know. And so if you are consciously on a path, you have different rules than people that are ignorant. Really, ignorance is bliss. And I remember years ago one of my metaphysical teachers saying this saying, and years later I totally understood it. It's better to not embark upon the path than try to do it halfway, because you can't turn back. isn't there the Cher song, If I Could Turn Back Time? The problem is, it's a thing. It's an uncomfortable place when you start to become more aware. You do just a little bit of work on yourself, and you start becoming more aware. You start making positive changes, and then you get like, this is too hard, or I don't want to do it anymore. You can't go back. The old you is not there. That version of you is no longer there. There's nothing to go back to. So you either stay in that discomfort of that middle zone, which that gray zone is part, it actually has a place in transition and change. We call it the gray zone, because you're not where you used to be, and you're not where you want to be or where you're going. But the gray zone, this is where people stay too long, and this is where you have over-drinking and drugs and alcohol. You have all kinds of behavior, overeating, overspending, because there's a call within in the inner psyche that you need to do more. You need to go forward, and the ego is causing you to stay stuck, or the wounding. You're letting that part of you. So it's a very uncomfortable place to be in. I have seen friends, colleagues. I've had, I've seen it, and I've seen people. I had a conversation once years ago with a close friend, and they went back. I said, "How can you go back? It's not going to be. It's going to be painful. It's going to be." And you know what he told me? He goes, "Millions of people do that." And consequently, the guy got into cocaine. He was partying every weekend, and why? Because it was too painful. He had a taste of his light, of spiritual energy, of his soul. He had a taste of it, and he opened up. And there's always going to be a rough patch. I get it. I go through my own rough patches. But to try to go back or stay stuck and not go with the vibration of what's evolving through you, the energy, the new emerging consciousness, the new aspect or version of you, because it's coming from your own higher self, it becomes trust me, it's more painful to not heed the soul call. If you're lucky enough, if you got on the path, and a lot of times we get on the path, for some people it's a taste of honey and everything's all sweet. Some people it's because of trauma or deep challenges or difficulties. And then you get on the path, and then there is the honey. It feels better. But just like all life, we always go through difficult patches. It's just no one escapes that. And hopefully you have your tools, you have your support. That's why I do the Patreon group, and that's why I do this program, this podcast as long as I have had, because I know what that pain is like. And if I can help somebody move through it and do better and really live their truth and really connect to their soul and feel their spiritual energy, then that's totally what I'm down for. That's what I want to do. Because a lot of people say, oh, it doesn't matter, or I don't care, or I'm just going to do this, or, and it's like, yeah, but there's a lot of that pain can just engulf you, and there's nothing wrong with pain. Pain is something natural that we're meant to go through, but we're not meant to stay in that painful experience. And when we choose to be stuck, that's what's happening. We're choosing the pain, because nothing external, it might take it away for a minute or two, hour or two, a few days, but that pain is still going to be there, and it's going to get more, because pain is telling you, like inflammation in the body that causes pain, there's too much of something, too little of something, something needs to change. And sometimes it's our own mindset or our own direction. So I'm saying that because I am seeing things heat up. I'm seeing an intensification of the energy where people are going to be squeezed to make the changes they've been wanting to make. And I just got to say to everybody, there's so much support, more than just me. There's great guests that come on this podcast. I've got my Instagram, Facebook. You can connect with me there. Soul Insights and Tarot on YouTube, Awakenings podcast on YouTube. I do courses and classes. I keep the the fee low. I've got Patreon. We meet once a month, and it's so inexpensive. Really, $50 a month to meet for an hour a month, and usually it's an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. You get the support you need, whether it's a reading or inner work or whatever. There's other people to join with, and then you're getting monthly videos. You're getting videos all through the month. You're getting blog posts to support you. You're getting direction. You're getting a heads up on what's going on energetically. And I get it. So sometimes people's money is tight, but sometimes you got to look, is all that alcohol or whatever people are buying or all those extra clothes, are those really helping you? You got to ask that, And the biggest thing that I'm seeing right now is people are not using their tools. They're learning the stuff, but they're not using it. And my guests that have been coming on lately have so much been saying the same thing. Like, you've got to pause. You've got to tune in. If there was another way to do it, I would have done it. I would have bought it, even if it was $1 million. I would, if there was an easier way to do this thing called life, I would have done it. So you got to remember, you're living your life not just from your ego perspective or your wounding, but the soul. And more that's happening right now is the soul is coming through. The game is changing. It's not going to be human beings. It's soul beings, interdimensional galactic beings, where we're getting potentized. We're getting more potent. So that means some things we have to let go of. Kind of our, baby ways. We want to keep our childlike wonder, but there's certain things we're going to have to give up to switch up the game, and that's what's happening now. That's the beginning of this Pluto in Aquarius. Neptune has been in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces. The North Node is going to be in Aries. That's Aries is the self. So it's going to be putting the focus, and this is a long cycle. This is going to be a 20-year cycle on the individual, stepping up, picking up the pace, getting with the program, getting with the new emerging consciousness, getting out of the old programming. So it's not going to be going away. It's only going to be more and more intensified. So when I see stuff like that, whether I channel the information from source energies from God, I work with my guides or the oversouls, or I look at the astrology, I go, I better get with the program. Because it's like weather. If it's going to rain, it's going to rain. And stuff is going to get wet. But that brings growth, right? Flowers, the trees, leaves become greener, the soil gets nurtured and nourished. So we're going to be rained upon, and how do we open up to that? And I'm looking at that rain as higher vibrational frequency energy coming down on us that opens things up, that highlights things, lights things up. And so if you already are hearing that, I'm sure I'm not the only one speaking these types of words. It's like, how do I give over to my spirit? How do I find out how to do that? That's why on Patreon we've been talking about how do you know if you're responding from the soul or the ego or wounding. It's really important right now to understand these aspects of you, because what's starting to happen is a synthesis of these aspects that have been cut off. We have these disowned parts. So there's a major focus on wholeness right now. So it is a time of a lot of change and growth and, deep evolutionary transformation, which can bring a lot of amazing opportunities. But we have to get out of our own way. You have to let go of those patterns, those versions, those behaviors that are holding you back. And it may be coming through a person, it may be coming through a reflection from someone around you, or maybe that reflection around you is saying, don't let someone else pull you off path or pull you off track. Let them process their own stuff and deal with it. if you've been too other-directed, too codependent, too much, acting through the dependent personality, you're gonna see that. And I see it even with children. It's like a lot of times parents give themselves up because of their children, but that's not what your children need, because children, just like all of us, learn by energetic kind of an osmosis, and they learn by modeling. So if they see you codependent to them and doing everything for your child, they're not going to learn true independence. They're going to learn entitlement. They're going to learn, the world bends over backwards for me. But the world isn't like that, all the time. Sometimes you get an amazing flow, everything goes your way. But sometimes we have blocks. So really look right now is what are the reflections that you're getting, and what can you do to respond from the higher vibrational frequency aspect of you. Yeah. Okay, let's open it up for callers and questions. 347-539-5122 is the phone number, and press 1 on your keypad if you have a question or comment, or you want a reading, or you want to share. Hi, you're on air.
Hi, I have a psychic question perhaps you could answer. That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Give me some feeling.
Okay. What's your first name?
I'm on Donna. Hi, I'm in California.
Hi, Donna. Hi.
Hi.
Me too.
I'm on Social Security and SS, because I was disabled, low income. And in 2021 and 22, I'd go up to the casino, and I won like 6 jackpots on the slot machines, each one for $1,200. And I didn't report it to SSI because I Googled it, and I said Social Security said that if I make less than $16,000 a year, I don't have to report the earnings that I made from the casino. But I didn't know that you had to report it to the SSI. So now I got a letter. I have to send in the papers. I hope they don't discontinue my SSI and my Medi-Cal, because then I don't know what I'm going to do. What do you see the outcome of all this?
I'm not seeing that. It is going to be a little bit of a mess to fill out paperwork and stuff like that. It's definitely showing that there's stuff to fill out. I would just be honest with them. And it's not a
yeah.
No, I know you are. I'm just saying that's all I'm saying. Yeah. All right, Donna. Thanks for calling in.
So you don't see them taking it away from me, the Medi-Cal and
I'm not
SSI?
seeing that. Mm-mm. No, because
wonderful.
It's a one-time. It looks like it's a one-time thing. Yeah.
One time. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, you're on air. Hello. 415, you're on air. Okay, I'll come back to you. Sometimes people walk away. Hi, you're on air.
Hey, Michelle, this is Owen.
Hey, Owen, hi.
Hey.
Like my
rant? Oh, my gosh. I feel like you were talking right to me. That was amazing.
Oh,
wow.
Did I?
Yeah.
Tell me why. Really?
And
okay,
that's really,
yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I'm calling in. I feel like in this last week, something has kind of shifted in me, and just kind of like an up-leveling in consciousness, and so much of what you were saying I felt very resonant with, and also just astrologically, my rising sign is Aquarius, and my North Node is in Aries, in my first house.
Oh,
yeah.
You got okay. So you're paying attention.
I am, and I would love to just, see what you have to, if you pick up on anything, if you have anything to say.
Let's look at it. So see, you're doing the right thing. You're feeling the energy, and you're and especially with that. So Pluto, I mean, anybody that has, whether it's conjunction, opposition, or especially conjunction or square, is definitely going to be. So let's, really going to be feeling it. Okay, so Owen, what do we want to ask? I love this. I love that you called in, because it's like that you're feeling it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just like, well, so a little over a week ago, I had like this old little like trigger came up, and it really like threw me, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was like a week of just kind of processing through that, and I do feel like I kind of came out on the other side of it and kind of reconnected with myself in a different way, and I guess I don't even know. I don't have specifically a question, but wondering if you
let's see. Well, you're saying something that what I'm talking about. See, the triggering.
Yeah.
The triggering is going to come up, and the human part gets mad, like, oh, well, I shouldn't have to go through this, or they shouldn't do this, and it's like, okay, well, that's true, perhaps, but it is what it is. So the fact that you're working through it, see, what I'm seeing is a lot of people succumbing. Like, it's my time to do this, or I don't want to do this. And it's like, unfortunately, I get it. It reminds me, like, I don't know, this was, I think, I think it was last year. I was going to my chiropractor, and oh my God, you can never find parking. It's a small parking, lot. And I see this one guy is about to leave. Then he didn't leave. This one woman was in there. I waited patiently. She was on her phone, this and that. Technically, that person should pull out. She saw me waiting, and I would go in, and then that person would come out. And it's so small. There was people backed up on her side and my side. She gets out, and she won't move. And all these people are with me. People are yelling at her, move, move, move. Let her by, let her by. And then they motioned to me, and I said, well, I can't see. I've got all this car. They were parked in such a way that I was wedged in.
Mm-hmm.
She had all this room to go by, right? One guy got out of his car, went over and said, you need to move, you need to move. She can't move. So one guy got out of his car and said, somebody's got to do it. I said, you got to guide me because I can't see the way that the cars are parked. She just sat there, and this guy had to help me, like, wedge in and out, because the person had left their car and ran and did an errand or did whatever, so we couldn't ask them to move. So, yeah, I could have stayed there longer, and it would have been my right, but you know what I mean? At some point, you got to give in. And I feel that's what's happening right now planetarily, this energy, the new emerging consciousness, so the energy. So it's a type of consciousness that we either haven't experienced, many people haven't experienced, or we've experienced it on a good day or when we're in a good mood, like, oh, I'll let that go by. I won't, and believe me, I wasn't like nice to her either. I was so, incensed, the injustice of it all.
Yeah.
Wow. Right? So that new emerging consciousness that's coming in, and we're picking it up, it's challenging us to respond from the higher vibrational version of us and the vision of our life. And it's not right.
Yeah.
So you're going to be triggered. You're going to be challenged. And it's almost like the energy on a soul level is like, get on with it and create. Get on with it.
Right.
It's like the entitlement, whether it's governmentally, racially, certain groups. And you can see everybody's caught in these little identities.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
And the whole thing is, it doesn't mean that people that identify a certain way, whatever that is for that person, whether it's gender, sex, race, color, creed, whatever it is, whatever vegan, non-vegan, carnivore. The thing is, when we all drop those identifications and we move into the oneness of our interconnectedness, that everyone has rights, that's the only thing that raises the vibrational frequency. We've seen it since the beginning of time. It doesn't work to raise individual groups up because it keeps people separated, right?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I'm so fascinated to just see what is going, like from kind of like an outside, perspective, just to see what is happening just on the grand scale with like identities and all of it. It's really fascinating to me. And then sometimes I'm like, whoa, I have to like not, maybe not even like have that conversation with a friend because they're stuck in, or they're, viewing it from a very specific way, and I can just honor their, you know what I mean? It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's hard. It's a landmine. I had somebody the other day, it was last year actually, but that was telling me they were very upset that somebody had misgendered somebody, but they had come in late on the Zoom call and they didn't hear, and she's like, I'm going to DM, and she went off, and I was like,
yeah,
well, maybe they didn't know. What do you mean they didn't know? They should. And I'm like, you just told me they came on later. And she's like, oh, well, they have it on the, after their name. And I'm like, okay. I said, I wouldn't care about that either. I really don't. I don't care about what,
right.
I'm not getting into that game. But it is a bit of a landmine right now.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
And what's interesting, because Aquarius is a masculine sign, but it also does bring the idea of androgyny, kind of with the Uranus.
Mm-hmm.
Different, interesting. It brings in, like I always say, like just picture maybe a very husky truck driver in cowboy boots and a tutu, or that likes to go to the ballet.
Right.
That's Aquarius.
Yeah.
I mean that. Yep. So it's like, but the interesting thing is the major thrust of Aquarius is also individuals having their expression and their say within the group, not to the detriment of the group, not to the detriment of the individual. So the higher vibration of it actually is identity-less. It just shows up as is.
Right.
And that's where we got a long way to go.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. We really do. It's wild out there. It's really interesting. It's like, wow.
It is. I just watch and I'm like, there's so much going on that this is the least.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like what I was saying early at the beginning of the podcast, it's bringing up all this lower stuff to be processed, and then eventually a new understanding and let go of that we are not these identities as that we hold so dear. But Owen, I feel like you are doing it. Your process. I feel like you've got a handle on this. I really do.
I mean, I think I really feel like I do too. I think my where I have I think my struggles in life have really come from it's much more of like my own personal like self-concept and confidence and all of that, and so that's where I feel like this I feel this like kind of shift or up leveling that's been probably has been a long time coming, and it is exciting to me because I'm like, I know that I have a lot more to like express and to be in the world, that I haven't.
Well, that's going to be, I was just going to say, that's your next phase.
Yeah. Yep. I definitely, I feel that, and it's exciting and a little daunting too, of course, but and just what you were saying too, I do feel like maybe it's the Aquarius that I have. I feel like what I have to give or offer, people, friends, or even just people that I meet is, in some ways, maybe is that like higher vibration of the Aquarius, where it's like you just let people be people, and you don't have to like hyper focus on identity. You can just see them for who they are and love them for that.
Yeah.
And that's always inspiring to see in when people are doing that from a genuine place, and I like to think I do that too.
Yeah, so. You do. Well, and the other thing is, because if we keep those lower level identifications, that is the ego. That's simply the human construct. It's not spirit. It's not soul. It's really diminishes when we only look at people through a particular lens.
It's so diminishing. Yeah. And it's weird because it's like in the guise of empowerment, but it's like, no, it's really not. Like it's not.
It's really not.
Yeah. Cool. So you feel like I'm on the right track. That's good.
Definitely. Awesome. I feel like the next step for you is going to be that next level of freeing up to do what you really want to do creatively. So whatever you're passionate about, that's that next level of soul/self expression. Mm-hmm. That's what's next for you. Is what is that? What is that going to be, and how can you act? See, that's really what everything is all about right now for everyone, is how do we get to the soul expression, more self-expression, and not get caught up in these lower levels of self-expression that aren't so life-enhancing. Right. And that's really what the God is that I am is trying to do, is trying to get people to express more their true nature and to create. We got to create the new forms for the new paradigm, the new ways of being and acting and products and, buildings and, all of everything, because everything's infused with consciousness, and we can see that. Mm-hmm. So as we level up in consciousness, we need to create new forms that hold that consciousness and reflect that consciousness. And so the universe, if you think about it, is really crying out, like, where are the containers for this consciousness, whether it's us or a building, a book, a song, a poem, a new way of being in business, a school, government building, money, a currency. All of these things have to shift over to hold more the new vibrational frequency.
Right.
So so it's not a small thing that we're doing, because everything holds the memory and consciousness, awareness and understanding of when it was created. I mean, you can think about it this way. If you think of a typewriter, let's think of an old typewriter. Maybe some people have seen it in person, maybe or at home or a museum, or you look online. I'm seeing one that I saw years ago, like in a movie, like it was like 1800s, like 1850 or something, and it was clunky. It's black and, I don't know, made out of lead or metal, something. Mm-hmm. Now, if you look at that typewriter, if you get that in your mind's eye of what that typewriter looks like, and now you put next to it an Apple, a MacBook Pro, or a Dell computer, you get a different vibe. Mm-hmm. Or put your smartphone next to it. Do you see what I'm saying? Everything holds the consciousness and the ability of what you can do or create with it.
Right.
Or like a Model T car, and now you look at it, even a scooter, right? So we got to really think. I mean, we have a lot to do. We have a very important mission in a way.
Yeah.
And all we have to do is show up as our soul, just be us. We don't. That's the thing. It's
right. Well, and that's what was really cool, having this experience. And then I'll let you go to the next caller. But it was like a week. I was like just stuck in my mind, and finally, I had this kind of like epiphany or whatever. It was just reconnecting with my awareness, with that true nature, and it was just like wow, it was so freeing. Nothing changed on the outside, but it was like I was showing up differently. I was seeing things differently, and then I was like being different in my life, So that's
wise
what
words,
you're saying.
Owen.
That's what it's
thank
about.
You. Yeah, because consciousness is an inside job. It's not so much what we do externally. It's how we're handling on ourselves and processing, and being able to go down our own rabbit hole, go there, and then come up the other side. We've shifted, and we have more compassion, self-love, awareness, and more consciousness. Yeah. Thank you for calling in and sharing. Wow.
Thank
I love
you
what
so
you
much.
shared.
Wow.
Thank you.
That was so great, so inspiring, and thank you so much.
Okay. Take care. Bye.
You too.
Okay, let's go back. Hi, you're on air.
Hi, thanks for coming back. This is Kate.
Hey, Kate. I figured somebody walked away.
Yeah, some cat, a couple cat issues, but it's all settled now.
Okay.
A grumpy cat not liking the new kitten, trying to make peace.
Oh, okay.
But I was in Mexico, and I've been back about a week, and my stomach is still not, I think I had food poisoning, and it usually gets better right away, a day or two. But so I'm wondering, do you see if it's something like E. coli? I've had charcoal, activated charcoal, but natural remedies for cleansing.
You might need something to knock it out. You might need something to knock it out, is what I feel. And I do get something in the stomach. Was your stomach like cramping, doing weird things?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I could feel. Yeah. I think it's like a little bug thing in there. I don't know, from the food, but yeah, I would get something to knock it out, and then do your probiotics and acidophilus or whatever. But I think it needs to be a little bit.
Something natural that can do that, or has to be a prescription?
I would go to a doctor, because it's going on, and you might get rid of part of it, but not all of it, because I still see it in there.
Okay.
All right, Kate. Feel better.
Yeah,
you're doing everything you can. I think it just needs a little push. I think it just needs a little push. All right, Sita. Well, did you have a good time, by the way?
Yeah. I really loved Guadalajara first time, and it's a great city. I recommend it.
I've been there.
It's not made for tourists at all. It's really just like being in all surrounded by
artists,
locals, and you have to speak Spanish, and so it was great. It's challenging, and in a good way.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, welcome back, and keep us posted. Let us know how you're feeling, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Let's see who's next. Hi, you're on air. Hi. Okay. I'm going to go through. Hi, you're on air.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm doing great. Who's this?
Valerie.
Hi, Valerie. What's your question?
Hi. I just want you to take a peek in my throat area to see if it's clear.
Okay. Getting clear. Something was there. Did you have something removed?
No, I haven't had anything removed. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you been doing energy work or something? It shows a shadow there, but it's getting less. Whatever that means, it's lessening.
Okay.
So whatever you're doing, just a little bit more. It's moving out or being removed or moving out somehow. But there still is like a little shadowy something there. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I was just wondering if I'm doing the right things to. I don't know if it's like.
It seems you are.
Swelling.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, it's still because I'm seeing. I mean, this is just a quick read. If I'm doing medical reads, it's a lot longer to tune in. But but I definitely I see something there like shadowy. But it says whatever you're doing is working. It's less than what it was before, is what I'm getting.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So just keep doing what I'm doing, and eventually it should go away.
Yeah. Has it gotten less? Because that's what I'm seeing. But what do you think?
I'm not sure because I get different things. You know, I have the vibration still in my left ear. It's a low vibration, but it's there. And then, I felt like it may be something in my throat because I remember one time you said there's something going on in your throat, but it was real quick, and we didn't go into it. And I'm thinking, would the throat thing cause the vibration in my ear?
Oh, it could. I always like to still go to a doctor to check things out to get or see something, you know, whether it's
right,
and then do the work. But whatever it is, it seems to be lessening, is what I'm getting.
Okay, well that's good. I always like to hear that. And I started my exercise program too, and moving a little bit more because that was one of the things you wanted me to do also.
Oh, good. Oh, Valerie, good.
Yes.
Good. That'll help. Yeah, that'll definitely help.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to be here at least until I'm 80 years old.
Okay.
I'm shooting for 80.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Okay.
Hug.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's see. What's this? We have. Hi, you're on air. Okay. All right, let's see who we have here. Okay, so I think we have our guest on. Yes. Okay, so it's time for our Awakening Dialogue. Got a great conversation coming up with Stacy Gissal, I believe that's her name, human design master, spiritual mentor, also founder of Evolve Beyond Limits. If you're waiting in the queue, who knows, we may open it up for questions. We'll see what Stacy has to say. Or you can keep listening by phone if you want to, 347-539-5122. Hey, Stacy, welcome.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, good. Me too, to have you here. Okay, how do you pronounce your last name?
It is Gissal, so you're really close.
Gissal. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, Gazelle? Gissal. Okay.
Yeah, we get that a lot, yes.
And just so people can find you while they're listening, a lot of people like to do that, what's your website?
Yeah, so you can go to www.evolvebeyondlimits.com. And then you can also find me on Instagram, which is Stacy, Stacy _Gissal, Gissal.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's talk a bit about what you were doing. I'd like to get a little background, like what you were doing before and what was your first awakening, and then what awakened you to what you're doing now. And then we'll also get into Evolve Beyond Limits, and then I want to talk about human design because that always fascinates me too.
Yes, I love that. So where I was before, it's really interesting. It's been a journey, as it always is, right? And I started out as actually going to school for nursing. At the age of 21, I was behind in life, so I thought. And so I was like, I hadn't gone to college, I hadn't finished a degree yet, and so I was like, I always knew I wanted to help people in some capacity. And nursing was like we're not really taught all the different ways that we can help people, so nursing seems like the easiest option at the time, right, to be able to go and help people. And my ego came in to play a lot with that too, because it was a very safe choice. And I knew that it would, that's a profession that a lot of people respect and all these things. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go be a nurse. And so I went through nursing school. I became an LPN, so a licensed practical nurse. And I was in that for about 7 years or so, and I liked it. And I was like, this is not for me, I just realized that it was like, man, there's some people who are out there who are built to be nurses, and I am just not one of them. And so I was actually at the time working, one of my clients, I was doing home care, and she was special needs, and so I went to school with her, I went to after-school activities with her, we did all the things together, and I realized I was always into, like, fitness and nutrition, like that was always a big part of my life too, and so I realized that that there was really nothing out there for the special needs community as far as like a lot of fitness goes, like one-on-one stuff. So that actually is what started me on my entrepreneur journey. As I started a company called Especially For You, and we were doing like special needs fitness classes. Then I went down this whole journey of holistic healthcare and started doing like nutrition coaching and all these different things. And looking backwards, it all makes sense, right, as it usually does. But I would say that my first awakening into really the more spiritual realm was I went on a mission trip to Guatemala with my husband's parents, and we went and they were doing a medical mission. And I just remember this feeling, and we were sitting in, and it was actually really interesting because I didn't grow up religious, like tied to a certain religion at all. And so we go on this mission trip with this Southern Baptist like church. And yeah, and I remember sitting in the I always loved going to church because I can pull a lesson out of anything. Like I just think there's a meaning to just about everything. And so I always like enjoyed the devotionals and all of that stuff, but something just didn't fit for me in that realm. And so I was sitting in Guatemala and just realized, like, had this huge epiphany during this devotional one time that it was just like, there's got to be more to life. And these people in Guatemala who were building homes for, and, you know, like, they're so ecstatic that we're building them a home with 4 walls, a roof, and a concrete floor that's like 12 by 12. And I would like just remember looking around with my husband, and I'm like, they're happier than we are. And that was just a big moment for me. And
wow.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, what caused you to do, because that's pretty amazing work. What inspired you to go there in the first place?
So my husband's parents had every year for, I can't even tell you how many. They had gone on a mission trip. They'd done ones in Haiti. They'd done different things. And I think it was 2019 that we actually went. And, you know, his parents always, they have 7 children. And they had always invited us to come along, but nobody ever really did. And so we just, like, we're like, you know what? Why not? Like, what a great way to just be part of something that's bigger than you. And so, yeah, we went, and like I said, it was like a life-changing experience for me on so many levels. And it really brought me, I believe it was kind of the start of my spiritual journey, because I was like, there was just so much change that happened and so many shifts, and I was just like, there's got to be more to life. And so then I started looking, and here we are.
Wow. It seems like, too, because you went through the nursing, so you were searching, because you went in the nursing, then you went on this adventure and mission, which nursing, I mean, those are big mission things when people take those on, you know. The nursing I totally get, because it has, there's so much with systems and structure, you know, with it, working within a system, in an organization, a hierarchy there. So you did that, and then this mission, and then you got a revelation there that there must be something more. So did that get you thinking differently?
It did. It got me thinking differently. And looking back, I'm trying to like connect all of the dots together. And like you said, I think there was always a piece of me that knew that I wanted to be of service in some big way. And I just didn't know. Yeah, like I just didn't know what that was. And it's actually funny, I just put out a post not all that long ago, and I talked about the fact that I wasn't really looking for I didn't think I was looking for any of this. I think my soul was. They were like, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
I think that it's like I just happened to meet all of the right people at the right times. And I remember one of my first mentors in doing like energetic work and things of that nature, she reached out to me. I didn't really know her. And she's like, hey, like my guides are telling me you really need to be part of this like certification to do this energy healing stuff. And I'm like, what? Like I didn't even really know what it was. Like I was like, I don't know why that's happening, but I think I've always been blinded by faith. I've always been like just so open to like my next step. And I remember this happened right after, and I love this story because it happened right after I told my husband, I'm not going to invest any more money into like my business, into all these things, because I had like invested all of this money into these things. And then she comes to me with this, and I'm like, oh crap. Like, okay, I feel like I need to do this. And this is before I really even understood like the depths of our intuition. But when something, to me, the best way I could describe it is that I had this gut feeling that wouldn't go away. Like I was like, it wouldn't matter how hard I tried to push it to the side. My gut was like, you need to do this. And so I had to find a way. And I remember my husband was like, sure, you can do it, but you can't use any of our money. You can't put it on a credit card. You can't. I'm like, okay. And I believe there was a solution to everything. And so I did the thing that nobody ever wants to do, which I called my mom. I was like, Mom, I need to borrow some money. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, that's it? Okay. She's like, yeah. And I was like, and like caveat to that, I have no idea when I'm going to be able to pay you back. And she's like, okay, that's fine. Like, I believe in you. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And so I took that, and then it was just like one thing after another. And at the time I was doing nutrition coaching, then I was doing a lot of holistic health coaching. And what I realized through this journey is like what people really are struggling with is like they don't really understand who they are. And we have all of these different bodies that we're working with. We've got our physical, our mental, our emotional, and our spiritual body. And we, like so many of us, we start on that. We start with the physical. And we think if we can get the physical figured out, then we'll start to feel better about the life that we're living. We'll start to, like everything will get better. But what I didn't understand at the time, and now, work with a lot of people on, is that the physical is like the last step, right? Like it's like when we have ignored everything at an energetic, mental, and emotional level, then it shows up physically. And so but most of us are trying to fix the physical with the physical, but we've got to go deeper than that. And so, yeah, like looking back, it's so fun because I believe all of the pieces of the puzzle really came together, and my knowledge that I gained through nursing and all these different things, like it plays such a huge part in the work that I do now. But, it was just this crazy roadmap that I could have never planned for. And I attribute it to just really being open to where my heart was calling me to go and not being afraid to change my mind and shift directions and like just feel my way through it instead of trying to always think my way through it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting that so much is consciousness and also getting to know the soul. Like, what is the soul meant to go through? What have you kind of picked? but I always say there's wisdom because sometimes people fool themselves and say, well, I meant to go through this, but that could be something that they're creating due to wounds that aren't healed enough and patterns. So it really is this kind of pulling back and becoming more aware, checking in on ourselves, and taking the risk on ourselves. There always involves money. That's the thing. Time, energy, money. It's a Saturn because it's the Earth plane, right? There's always investing in ourselves.
Yes.
That always seems to be a big part of this path to some degree.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And it's funny. I was having this conversation with my husband not too long ago about how, whatever we desire and like what we're like kind of working towards, there has to be an energetic exchange to get there. And I often believe that life, the universe, God is like, it's going to ask you to exchange the thing you're the most attached to. Right?
Yeah.
So if you're really attached to money, it's going to ask you to give some of that up in order to become less attached to that, right? And to see, like, go to the other side. If you're really attached to time, like your time, then it's going to ask for that. Like, and it's an opportunity for us to grow and become less attached to these things and realize that they're just tools and we don't have to be so attached to them. But that was a lesson that came, much later.
Yeah, that's a big, that understanding, are you willing to put in the energetic exchange, whatever that is, for yourself? You're right. It's true. It's the God, the universe, but it's also our very own higher self testing us a lot of times. Like, do you really want this? Do you really believe? Do you really believe in yourself? Do you really want to give yourself this? Are you really ready? Are you? It's very interesting. It's kind of this interesting dynamic that's very fluid, that the more we can open up to, the more we become that, and because we recognize it within ourselves, like, well, this is just what I've asked for, and it's coming in this way, and let me embrace it instead of fight it. Which brings me to a question. How do you, because I think that I'm seeing a lot of that right now. I talked about I kind of did a deep dive and a bit of a rant at the beginning of the podcast, because I've just been kind of seeing this, like, and I get it, a lot of times we just want to be done, or we get into resistance mode, and it's a very human thing to do and very natural psychologically. When we're immature, as we mature more, which has nothing to do with age, but as we mature more, we don't stay in that place that long. We go, okay, that's what it is. I got to do it. We just have to do it. Or this is what we want, and this is the steps, or this is the way that it's unfolding, or you're building a business. Well, now you got to call this person or put this paperwork or do this. No one's against you. This is just the path. Yeah. How do you work with that? What is your experience then with whatever you're putting together in your life, or what comes up? What helps you with that? I think that's something that will help a lot of people.
I love this question. It must be something in the stars or something, because this has come up a lot for me as well lately. And what I recognize is what we ask for, we will receive. So first of all, like, look at the life that you have, look at the life you're creating, and if you want to know what you're asking for, look around. Right? And I think sometimes we think we're asking for one thing, but when we look around us, we're not getting that. And so it's like, really dig deep, and like, you might be, on a thoughtful level thinking you're asking for this, but like deep down, you're pulling in these other things. So I think that for me, it's the essence of like, we are going to get what we ask for. However, what our higher self is asking us to do is it knows. It is well aware that you're going to be able to handle all the amazing things that come with whatever it is that you asked for. And what it wants to know and what it's going to allow you, it's going to give you opportunities, is to work through the different aspects of yourself that you haven't quite grown into yet, right? That you need to overcome in order to be able to hold whatever it is that you're asking for. And so, I think about this.
Oh, wait.
Oh, go ahead.
Repeat again, Stacy. This is gold. Yes.
Yeah, and so, I mean, we have to become, oh my gosh, there's a hummingbird right in front of me right now, which that is like my animal. So what a beautiful message for everybody.
Joy. Oh,
I love that. Oh my gosh, it might, oh, okay, hello. Sorry. So yeah, it's that our highest self is like, it's asking us, who are you? Because when we ask for something, we're not actually asking for the thing, right? What we have to realize is we're asking, who do I need to become to hold whatever it is that I'm asking for? And so what a lot of people do, and I've done this in the past, and I probably still do it because it's so normal, is that we then get, some people call them obstacles, some people call them struggles, call them whatever you want. I like to call them opportunities to rise because it just feels like a higher vibration to me. So you're going to be faced with these different things that appear to be obstacles, but really all they are is your highest self giving you these opportunities to rise, to become the person that you said you want to be. And a lot of times, we run. We turn the other way, and at the slightest ounce of discomfort, we stop. When if we were just to realize that this is just like, okay, like this is an opportunity to rise. This is who I said I was becoming. I have two choices in this moment. Do I act in alignment with who I said I was, or do I fall back into my same patterns that got me here today? And what are you going to choose?
And exactly. And I think I'm going to add a little piece to this, that people need to remember. I know I tell myself I have to remember this myself, but it's kind of like if I do come under certain obstacles, especially that are not of my own making or consciousness, is that is also part of the earth plane. There is a natural process, you know what I'm saying, to life, that there are steps or something can be omitted and I think where people sometimes make the mistake is they insert themselves in it and make it about them and react to that instead of that's part of this process. Anybody ever having to go to the DMV or get a passport or, you know what I mean? There's these things.
Yes.
And I always thought, too, years ago, one of my metaphysical teachers had mentioned this, and I try, I'm not always 100% with it, but when I get sometimes in situations where I'm delayed or there's a stall or, an impediment or obstacle, a lot of times I look at the metaphysical like I'm here also for a reason. There's some interaction. And I had that the other day at AAA, trying to get a car registered, but because I assumed a lease, I couldn't do it there. And they didn't know. I called to ask 2 days before, and they said, yeah, no problem, bring in the paperwork. And then when I called the company, the leasing company, nobody knew until they'd put it up the chain of command, and they said, oh yeah, we tend to have a problem there because they don't, the paperwork is different, and so it was a big thing. But the people at this particular AAA were so amazing. They let me do everything that I could there and handle as much as I could. And I was looking around, and I just saw so much light. And because I'm not usually in those kinds of environments, so I forget what it's like to work within, a company or corporation or organization, because I've never had to do that kind of job. I've come in, done public speaking or something, or team building, but never, worked. And I got to tell you, Stacy, the grace that I felt from those people doing their quote unquote job, because I was leaving and I could have got upset. I didn't get upset. I just said, okay, well, I'm going to call and check this out and see what's going on. And then all of a sudden I hear, Michele, somebody calling and I thought, it can't be me. Nobody knows my name here. And it was the ladies running after me and going, we can finish this part, and make it easier for you. And I got to tell you, the delight, the joy they had. There was an elderly lady, probably in her 80s, and it looked like a family friend. Just by the conversation, I could tell it was either a neighbor or family friend had brought her in, and he was getting some stuff done. And everybody was just very gracious about this elderly person coming in, and she was walking very, very slowly, and they're like, you're doing a good job, and she's like, I can walk on my own, with her walker to the And I thought, wow, whatever I'm witnessing and they're witnessing, I am getting a peek at a place that people might assume people don't want to go to work or don't like working there. These people are in their purpose. They are being of service. Yeah, I can't even tell. I almost want to cry. I can't even tell you how beautiful it was. I had to stop at one point because they're looking through the paperwork and asking different people this and that, and I just looked around and vibed on the energy, and I thought, it just goes to show consciousness is an inside thing. It's not always what people are externally doing or the quote-unquote job they have, or, maybe they're not posting on Instagram or have a podcast, but they were working their light, and it was just so I drank it in and sent my light. I appreciated it. I just could feel all the appreciation and love. So, and I think this way because of what I do and who I am, but I think if each of us could just try to do that a little more, we'd see sometimes things are not just about us. There's something bigger that's happening. Right?
Yeah, and I could not. Yeah, it's so true.
Well, if you
and
went
it's
on
funny
that
because
retreat, you went on that mission, you would know that, because I'm sure his parents think that, and the people that go there, even if they're digging a trench or giving people water, they know that it's not just about that. There's something bigger happening, right?
Yeah, and I think you're right. If we could look at that in every situation in our life, I like to think about and talk about perpetual gratitude and this essence that I truly believe that if we are connected and we have hope and we have trust that we are being led on this beautiful journey, then we can be just as grateful for the things that go our way as we are for the things that don't go our way. Like, what if, that seemingly don't go our way? Because there are those moments, and every single person that you interact with, you have an opportunity, like maybe they're there to shift your life, maybe you're there to shift theirs. Yeah. It's really funny. My husband and I am actually sitting outside our RV in Hilton Head-ish, South Carolina, and we RV'd a couple of years ago, and we hit a deer in Joplin, Missouri, and it was like a whole debacle, to say the least. Okay, we couldn't get anybody to fix the RV. We're 12 hours from home, and my husband's just like, oh my gosh, this is awful, and I'm giggling because I'm like, I don't know why we are meant to be in Joplin, Missouri, but we are here and we're here, and there is a reason that we are here, because isn't it easier, and isn't it just easier to believe that? I feel like life is so much easier if we just truly trust that. But we ended up a whole series of events, same thing, these amazing people at this GM dealership did not have to help us, and they bent over backwards to find us someplace that could fix our RV. And we end up going to this place, and we meet this gentleman. His name is Tracy. He owns this collision center in Missouri. He's from our same state. And we ended up, we went to dinner he took us out to dinner that night. We spent like time with him. We had like the best time. He's somebody we still connect with to this day. And I just remember telling my husband, I'm like, I don't know if I needed him or if we needed him or he needed us or both, but like we were meant to meet him. And feel like, again, life is if you can just step back and say, how is this happening for me? Because there's always a reason, even if you never see it.
Yeah, well, you talked about subtle body, because I'm thinking, that we have these codes within us. So even in that exchange, both of your spiritual energy was uplifted, which goes out into the world and into the universe. So in that meeting or seemingly chance meeting, it's like, it sounds like and feels like kind of, bolstered both of you and was an amazing exchange of energy, which brightens our light. I mean, a lot of times I don't think people realize that, not just through meditation we bolster our light, but conversations like this are connecting. How we connect with each other, in the etheric plane and spiritual planes, brightens our light.
Yeah,
so
and I think it
why.
Really, like, I mean, absolutely. And I think it's really fun because in the work that I do, it's, I work a lot with human design. I work a lot with the ancient wisdom of the chakra system and kind of like developing these different centers. And I think what people don't always realize is that like we've got our, there's no hierarchy to like the chakras and like the energy centers within us, but we've got like our bottom three, which is our opportunity to really turn inward and like understand what it means to be fully human, like fully human. Like that is like we're humaning hard in those energy centers. And then we go into our upper three, and that's where we really are like fully, that's where we understand like that we're fully divine, right? We have this connection. And then, but like the true transformation and what I truly believe is that if we want to change the world, we have to open the human heart. And the heart is where the three lower and the three upper, they connect. And that's where true transformation happens, is when we can realize that we are fully human, we are fully divine, and we allow those two things to come together and merge in our heart space. And that is our connection to everybody else, because it just pours out of you. And yeah, so it's like this, it's as much as it is about getting to know yourself, the heart is where I think it becomes, the best way to say it is like, it has to be all about you and not about you at all, simultaneously, right? Yeah. And like, that's where the heart space really comes in.
Yeah, I agree, and it's the middle channel to the, the lower and the higher transpersonal chakra system. So yeah, I think we're getting a lot of stuff worked on right now with the heart chakra, not just for, like you said, for ourselves, but also for each other, and really maybe seeing more from the heart. I think that, I don't know, our next level of humanity, I think that it's very, very important. Now, Stacy, I want to get to human design. How does that fit in? Because it always fascinates. I know I'm an astrologer, Western astrologer, usually do Placidus or whole sign. Yeah, but I don't know much about human design. I know I've had my chart done and or whatever it's called, design, and since I've studied also the I Ching for like 25 years, so I get that part a little bit in the paths. But how would you? Well, first of all, how would you kind of sum up human design and how people can use it, and how can it help us navigate what's happening now? Because I know at the beginning of the podcast I talked a little bit, because I read something about that we're in this time of transparency or something. That's one of the gates. Does that make sense, or do I have it?
That it does make sense. It does make sense. So human design, it's really actually kind of interesting because I love human design because it's a very tangible thing to kind of grab onto and say like, okay, it's a tool to help you understand yourself better. However, I hate things that put people into boxes, right? Because it's like it's like that's a really fine line for me, because I never ever want somebody to be able or to use the phrase like, well, that's just who I am. Well, no, that's who you're choosing to be.
Exactly. Oh my God, I got to interrupt for a second. I hate that. I get clients saying that's just how I am or who I said, no, it's not. Those are conditioned response patterns. You can change those. That's not who you are or how you are. Oh my God, we're so on the same page with that. Yeah. Okay, go on.
Yeah, it's one of my.
Because it's not true.
No, it's not true, and it's a cringe-worthy statement for me, which might be something that I need to work through. But like, I'm like, well, no, like, just be but I think that people like the place that we're in right now is that people like to be. We've lost touch with our personal power, and we've really lost touch with who like having this deep understanding of who we are, and so we like for people to put us in boxes. We like for things to tell us who we are so that we don't have to figure it out. And so this was like, so this is kind of like a really interesting thing about why I love human design, is because, yes, it is a blueprint of who you were kind of born to be, pulling in astrology, I Ching, the chakra system, the Kabbalistic tree, like it pulls in all these things. But there is, if you look at your chart, and if you go to my website, you can like see your chart. There's going to be space that is colored in, and then there's going to be space that's white. And what I love about human design is that you are the whole chart. So the things that are colored in they're called defined, and it's like your channels, and you have certain centers and different things. And these are like the things that you're radiating outwards all the time. So like 24/7, you're radiating this out to the world, and it's really what other people can learn from you. However, there's to everything that's colored in your chart, there is a duality to it, meaning that you can either be using it in its highest expression and using it for expansion of yourself and other people, or you can be using it for destruction of yourself and destruction for others. So while you're radiating it out to the world, you might be radiating the very expansive version, or you might be actually radiating the very destructive version. And it's important for you to know that and take personal responsibility for, who do I desire to be? What am I radiating out to the world? So there's that piece. And then there's all the white space in your chart. And the white space means that this is what you are taking on from the world around you. This is what you learn from other people. So the white space in our chart is where we're the most prone to conditioning, because the ego would rather fill it with a bunch of stories that are, like not serving you than leave it empty. So
exactly. I was just going to say, then leave it empty. Doesn't like the ambiguity. Right.
Yeah, it's not going to do empty. But what's cool about the white space in your chart is you can think about it like a bucket, and that bucket, you can fill it with whatever you want. So it's actually the pieces of you that are limitless, because you can say, oh, this is like where I work with it with clients and different things, is you get to say, is that story that you're holding there, or the way that you're acting, or whatever that is that serving you? Like, is that expansive? If it's not, we need to take that story out and fill it with something different.
I like that.
And so
that's where the empowerment comes in too.
Yes, very much so. It's this, and I think too that on this journey, and I know this happened to me, and maybe other people can resonate, is when you start to become really self-aware, we pendulum swing. We kind of go from like walking through with our eyes closed just kind of blind to everything. And we're like, everything's everybody else's fault. Everything, it's everyone else is the problem, not me. But then we pendulum swing, and now everything's our fault, right? And now, like, we're forgetting that other people do have, they have personal responsibility as well. And then people start to tear themselves apart, and all they're seeing is the things that are wrong with them. And all these things that need to be fixed, and like just realizing that you're not broken. And that's what I love about human design, is it's this opportunity to truly like be like, look at how amazing you are. Look at how amazing, and you can't look away from that. And that's where I think some of the empowerment comes from too, is it's like, you are such a gift to the world, and I'm going to show you how you are a gift to the world, and then I'm going to guide you as to how to activate that in your life and use that for expansion of both yourself and the people around you, because like that's where we're at. That's the path we're walking right now, is that we need to be out shining our light as bright as possible.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I love different disciplines that, especially weaving them together, that really do, for that self-understanding or understanding of other people and in life itself and the journey. Because you can definitely see it, whether like the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, the chakra system, different spiritual disciplines, I Ching, archetypes. There's so many tarot, numerology, astrology. There's so many lenses, and there's the reoccurring principles, the themes, and I think to individualize it is not just empowering. I mean, to me, it's also fun, to do that.
Oh my gosh, so fun.
Right?
Yeah, and if I could just add one other thing too, I think it's funny because when I first started working with human design, I had no idea, actually had no intention of working with this system. And then, things happen. But the thing that really lights me on fire is that it's the deep understanding of other people. And a lot of times I will work with families or teams or couples because, again, sometimes we walk around and we're like, man, if people were just a little bit more like me, life would just be easier.
Yeah.
but the truth is, it's like, no, we want everybody to be unique and different. And the problem is that we just can't quite see it through that lens. So I'll never forget, I've worked a lot with my own human design, getting to know myself, but I've also really gotten to know my husband through this process and different family members and all these different things. And it allows me to see him through such a different light, because the things that used to drive me insane, quite frankly, I now am like, this is actually a gift, and I can learn something from this if I allow myself to see it through that lens, instead of just assuming that he's doing it incorrect because it's not the same as the way that I would do it. And so I think that's just a fun piece too, and realizing that him and I, if you put us together, we have a connection chart that's completely different than the two individual charts. And so what do we bring out in one another, and what do we have to watch for? And it's just a really fun tool to use to really see others through that light, because when we can start to see people for their differences and what makes them unique, and encourage that rather than assuming that it's wrong or
trying to change.
It's a beautiful thing.
How do we get it sounds like the complement you're talking about. See how you complement each other. It sounds like what you're saying.
That's a perfect word. Yes.
Yeah, I like that. That's anything that helps, because that's what we're here to do. We're not doing it all on our own. We need these complementary energies and skill sets and ways of viewing things. So you're saying that can give you an overview.
Yeah, it can give you an overview and just like understanding yes, how you complement each other, but it shows you like where there could be a lot of tension that arises between like the way that you function compared to the way that somebody else functions, the way in which you move through the world. Like my husband and I, it's funny because whenever we travel, he's a generator, I'm a manifesting generator, so generators, everything comes to you, right? Like you're just meant to respond to the things that come to you. And so we're traveling right now. And it's funny because we really don't make a lot of plans because it is almost guaranteed that somebody is going to walk up to us, and usually they're petting our dog because we have like the cutest French bulldog, and they'll be like, hey, are you from around here? And we're like, no. And they're like, oh, you should go check this out. We're like, great, we'll go check that out. Like, we don't even have to make plans because, you know, like things are always coming to us. We just have to decide whether we want to do them or not. And so I think that's what's really fun, and just understanding that like not everybody functions in life the exact same way. And so when we're mentoring, coaching, teaching, interacting with others, it's like just because something works one way for you, it actually might work very different for this person. And I believe it's our responsibility to understand that and not just say, well, this worked for me, so it's going to work for you. Because it might not.
Yeah. That's great that it's a tool for that awareness. Because really what you're doing is you're getting a peek into the soul. You're getting into the peek of certain things that won't change because they're someone's essence, and the things that can, or the approaches maybe that can change or be altered. I never thought of it that way, like for relationships, so that's a really good idea. Yeah. Stacy, we're winding out of time here. Okay, best way for people to get in touch with you.
Either directly through the website. Yeah, or Instagram. EvolveBeyondLimits.com. So you can either go through the website, EvolveBeyondLimits.com, or Instagram is a great place too. I do respond to all messages and stuff that come through there, which is Stacy, Stacy _ Gissal, Gissal.
Gissal, okay. Wow, this has been so fun and really enlightening, but also fun. Yeah, so thanks for coming on and sharing with us. Yeah, so fun. Really
Thank you so much. And anybody who's listening and just has more questions or anything, I'm open for that. So, yeah, feel free to connect with me. And I just really I'm so grateful for you and this platform and letting me come on and have this amazing conversation.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I think if people re-listen, there's a lot of gems in there, a lot of gems that you shared. So have a great rest of your day and adventure, and don't be a stranger. Come back when you like, and we'll be in touch.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Bye. Hey, gang. Thanks, everyone that co-created this, all of you in the chat. I had so much fun. That was really pretty cool. And really underscored some of the stuff we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast. So let me know. Now, there's no comments here. This is another reason why I want to move this over or extend it. We'll still keep the audio portion to YouTube. But let me know on Instagram if you listened to this, if you called in. Love to hear how you liked what you heard, like the information, and if you integrate any of what we talked about today in your life. And if you do, how's that go? How's it go? Let us know. Please let us know. You can always email awakeningspodcast@gmail.com or just on my Soul Insights and Tarot on YouTube or my Instagram. Just comment. I read all the comments. I love comments. I love connecting with everyone and, getting the 411 of what's going on. So definitely you can always comment, and I will comment back. I will connect back with you. All right, Radiant Soul Lights, as always, continue to shine your light, share your insights, and keep awake.
Awakenings broadcasts every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Archive shows available on iTunes. For continued awakened conversations and insights, join the Awakenings group on Facebook. And check out Michelle's blog at soulplayground.com. And keep awake.